Good evening, everyone. Good evening. It is now 5:30. We will go ahead and begin the public input on the ARPA funds discussion. We do have a few housekeeping things that I want to share with everyone. One of the first things I do want to share, first of all, is my name. It's Lamont Peppers. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator for the City of Urbana of Illinois. Also, we have a hard stop time of 7:30, and I want everyone to be mindful of that. I don't want anyone to feel like they are being mistreated. I'm going to make this quick so that we use most of our time for commentary. But we are at a hard stop for 7:30. No business is conducted after that. I want to make sure that I share that. So if you'll just bear with me, we have just returned to our in-person meetings. A lot of our equipment here is new and being used, so if we have some feedback, we have some flubs, just be patient with us. We will make sure that your information is accurately received, displayed, shared, and processed. Be patient with us. Also tonight, we are going to be collecting information concerning the American Rescue Plan ARPA Act recovery funds. This public input session is for ARPA only. If you have public input in regards to other issues outside of ARPA funding and the subject matter here of the 4 subsets, we ask that you share that at the appropriate meetings like City Council or other boards and commissions. This is specifically for ARPA. There were a lot of people involved in this, getting this together. First and foremost, we do want to give thanks to our mayor, Mayor Marlin, for spearheading this, for making sure that voices were heard, that time was allotted for this information to come across. We want to give a big thanks for the people from our Regional Planning Commission, our graphic artist, Mr. David Michael Moore, who drew this in real time. This is not printed. He just made this. It's okay. We can give him a hand. We just clap. Also in attendance, we would like to thank our City Administrator, Carol Mitten, our planner, Ms. Andrew Rudy, and we also have from Regional Planning Commission, we have Ashley McLaughlin, we have Mr. J.D. McClanahan in the back, and certainly so much work in compiling all this, so much goes on behind the scenes that you do not see, and the person who is big on that, who leads us so much and we lean on tremendously, is our very own Mr. Will Koszowski from the City of Urbana right here. Let's give Will a hand. Now for our final housekeeping so we can start. The City Council has identified 5 priority areas for potential use of ARPA recovery funds. These include sustainable infrastructure, human rights and social services, public health and safety, adequate and affordable housing, and economic recovery and development. Please consider the following questions. What are the outcomes that you would like to see from the use of ARPA recovery funds? Do you have specific ideas for funding projects or programs related to the 5 priority areas? All comments related to ARPA are welcome tonight. Once again, if you have commentaries that are not related to ARPA, we ask that you keep those until the council meeting. Because we are in public open meeting, each public input speaker will be allotted 5 minutes. The timer will be right over here, am I correct? It'll be right over here to keep track, and we'll also kind of give signals. As we get started, we do have members from our community from various areas who also have other commitments tonight. And we would ask that you would allow some of them to go first so that they can make their presentation and still make their other commitments that they have tonight. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and open up our public input forum. We're ready for our first person. And I can call on people.
Can I go first?
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
And also, once again, as you approach the microphone, before you give your input, if you could state your first and last name, and if you are representing an organization, what organization you are representing. That is for the record for our Public Meetings Act. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. I am one of those people who has to go. I'm kind of squeezing this in. So I feel like I need to turn this way so I can talk to them and you guys. So good evening. I'm Dr. Ivy Tatum, Superintendent of Schools from Urbana School District. I can't do anything in 5 minutes. as many people here know me, so I did have to write out comments. So I do want to ask, do you want me to kind of bullet this, because it is fairly long?
Yeah.
Are you going to be writing up bullets, or what are you doing with that piece of paper?
So, yes.
Okay. So, first, let me thank the mayor and everyone for this opportunity, and I am really applauding all the people in the community who are coming out. I appreciate that the city council and the mayor are really looking for input from the community. And can I take this? Okay, thank you. I'm so used to wearing it these days. Looking for programs that will have long-lasting and far-reaching impact on our community for years to come. As someone from the school district, I am most pleased to hear that one of the areas of focus is addressing the needs of our youth. So tonight, the area that I would like to focus on that I believe aligns most with the 5 areas is public health and safety. The project, or I guess more of a program, that I have shared a full proposal with the council, basically would meet the ARPA regulations for public health and safety, and it is a program called Plan for You. Okay. This program will specifically address behavioral health, mental health needs of our students, and while ultimately preventing and responding to community violence, specifically the youth in our community that are most involved and connected to the violence. In looking at your documents online, I noted that capital improvements, property improvements, and capital investments were actually eligible for ARPA funds. So I believe the project that we are working on within the district would align very well. So what is Plan for You? So Plan for You is a restorative therapeutic space. Currently, the district owns the property directly across the street from Urbana Middle School at Fairlawn and Vine Street, if you can. I'm gonna call it the old Comcast building. We're trying to stop calling it that, but that is what gets people in the right space. So as many people here in this room have, and if we have any parents in the room who have students in the middle school and high school, you may have noted that many of our students are struggling with verbal aggression, physical aggression. We had 15 months of remote learning, which very severely impacted not just the social emotional needs of our youth, the mental health needs of our youth, and we see an increase, not just what the community sees via media and via what we're all experiencing day to day. We see it in our young people basically every day. And I know Lamont is nodding, and I'm sure there are many people here connected in this room who have in some way felt a direct impact of that. So what we would like to do as a district, and we are looking at establishing I've got 58 seconds. See, that's what happens when I don't read my notes. An equity-centered, wraparound social emotional program that really will look at the whole child. We really see this program as a collaboration between the city and the district. We are hoping that we can most impact our youth in grades 6 through 12, specifically at our middle school, because this space is directly right across the street. We are not looking for a cookie cutter model. We are looking for something that we can build together as a community that would be more trauma informed, shifting everybody's thinking to more of a trauma informed practice model versus a deficit thinking model. And there was my time. So can I give you the rest of this, Lamont?
Yes,
that I wrote?
yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I'll
You're
come
very
here.
welcome.
I'll get that from you
I'll
before you
give
go.
it to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ira Tatum. So this is public input, so as one person finishes, If you are one of the individuals who is in the group that I identified that has another function to be at this evening, shortly hereafter, please come to the mic next. If not, we will just kind of flow one person after the next. As the person finishes and sits down, the next person with comments can step right up to the mic. Thank you very much. And please remember to state your first and last name and any organization affiliation.
I will do so. Is this good?
That's good.
All right. So my name is Dr. Kim Chanu, and I am from the Department of Recreation, Sport, and Tourism at the University of Illinois. And I am speaking on behalf of the Urbana Park District tonight. I have been working with the Urbana Park District for multiple years, and we have been doing a study in their effort to meet the needs of all residents of Urbana, to represent and to make sure that all residents are served through their different programs and services. In a recent study that we did that took place in the neighborhood across the street from the Brookins Center, which is where they're currently have a gym and other facilities, the people who came from that neighborhood over to the Brookins area, the Brookins gym, in order to have a focus group with us, had never been in that building. They were shocked that when they walked literally across the street that there was this gym and other facilities in there for recreation. And what they said is that they had no idea that it was there, they had never used it. A facility like the Health and Wellness Center would highlight all of the opportunities that the Urbana Park District offers. We have gone door to door collecting surveys from the residents in those areas, and they are very interested in additional programs from the Urbana Park District. I had a member of the Urbana Park District come and speak to my class that is on community planning and engagement. They gave us the class a detailed description of what the Health and Wellness Center would entail. It would be state-of-the-art, and it would be somewhat similar to the Martin Center that is being built in Champaign. Champaign now has the Martin Center, and it also has the Leonard Center. I think it would be wonderful for Urbana to be able to have a facility similar to those so that the residents can get the recreation opportunities to serve some of the youth that the speaker before me mentioned, but also adults and older adults. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If we have other people who would like to share public input, once again, if you would just step forward. If you want to give your name, first and last, the organization that you're affiliated with. Also, if you are able to identify which of the subject matters that you are in support of, that helps our graphic artists keep everything organized. Thank you very much.
My name is Robert Lewis, former councilman for the city of Urbana, and I will be on the subject of sustainable infrastructure. I guess I'm started, so I'll take my 5 minutes, I guess. I've been working with the people of the Dr. Ellis subdivision, the first African-American subdivision in the city of Urbana. And we've had, when I was on council some years ago, we brought the subject up of some infrastructure problems. And the can has been kicked down the road several years. For the council itself, they have a complete package of everything I have provided for them, of the history as well as the details of what we perceive it to be. We do know, if I reviewed it, there are potential ways to solve the problem. And for the audience here, this subdivision is the first African American subdivision in the city of Urbana. And unfortunately, it was just to house African Americans, to keep them in the North End, okay, for reasons, I'll say it like that. But it's not here to cause problems, because the council that exists today is not something that they created. It's something that happened way before they even came on board. They inherited this issue. Unfortunately, the infrastructure that they put in compliance with what they have in written documents, doesn't quite fall in place relative to where it should. I have drawings from the original concept that shows where potentially easements should be. There's letters in this document that I send that tells them about communications between the original contractor, and city engineering, and specifically dealing with problems. And my request is that they would take some funding from this to eliminate this problem. Basically, it causes the people to pit themselves against each other because of the location of the infrastructure that's there. Within the context of what can be done, there are lots of things that can be done. But I don't want to get in that tonight because that's a long discussion. There are design solutions that can be achieved, and I think it can be done without having the general populace pay for these problems. And I think they need to establish that this is the first, and it can be sustainable. And we need to have it here for a long time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
How's everybody doing? I'm Maurice Hayes. I'm the Executive Director of HV Neighborhood Transformation. But I'm here to speak up for the Urbana Park District and the Wellness Center. I reviewed the document that they put together about their plan and their platform and what they want to do in the High Hope area. And one of the things that touched me most was providing a public space and a good space for kids to find their mental health that they need, right? That's one of the things that's so lacking in our community is the mental health portion. And to have it right in the High Hope area, I think it served the community and those children and the community, old people like me as well. It served us well to have a place like that in the community that we could just walk to. Aside from that, the programs that the Park District are attempting to offer will aid HV as we fight to end gun violence. And we provide that place where they can come in their own community to get those mentoring things that we give and give them the heads up that they need in order to move forward in life. I think we need to really consider putting that place in the area that they speak of, because it will be paramount for our young people coming up now, and it'll aid us, the old ones, as we try to transition our young people into that leadership role that they will undoubtedly take over. I think now is the time that we start putting a lot of effort into how we train our young people to take over what we're going to leave off. By 2030, our young kids should be leading. That's 8 years away. But if we don't invest that time and that energy in those right places, then we don't equip them with the tools to lead. So as we think about these different infrastructures and different things that we want to put up, think about the places where they're going, think about the people that they're going to help, and think about the next generation being able to start off on a playing field that's more conducive to us changing what the dynamics are, rather than just kicking it down the road, as the gentleman so eloquently put it earlier. So that is what I advocate for the Wellness Center and the Urbana Park District. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you so much, Maurice.
That is the right person to follow, let me tell you. My name is Jean Paley. I've lived in Urbana since 1961. I am currently a member of the Urbana Parks Foundation, the Park District's Health and Wellness Steering Committee, as well as UPDAC, the Urbana Park District Advisory Council. I'm a big fan. I'm here to urge the City Council to provide generous support for the Urbana Park District's new health and wellness facility, which will be built in East Urbana at Prairie Park. It is in the middle of an underserved area. Nobody's ever done anything for those folks. With funds from the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, the city has the opportunity to strengthen a project which promotes public health and safety on both the individual and community level, providing much needed services to our residents. The Health and Wellness Project is a substantial infrastructure investment ideal for one-time use funding. With a state-of-the-art indoor facility for community members to come together to engage in fitness practice benefiting both body and mind, and a park site designed to have sustainable, naturalized stormwater management, multi-purpose trails to increase bike and pedestrian connectivity, and a native pollinator habitat. It will be a long-term community asset which will serve Urbana residents for decades. Among other things, the new building will contain full basketball courts, an indoor walking track, a room with state-of-the-art fitness equipment, multi-use studio space for education, and workshops and group fitness group fitness rooms. Programming is being planned for all age groups, with space designed to accommodate a wide range of sports and fitness activities and wellness programming. Space is also available as meeting places for community groups. Membership costs will be low, and scholarships will be available as part of the whole plan. This health and wellness project has been years in the planning. Park District staff have studied best practices across the Midwest, polled the citizenry, written and been awarded grants, and with a cadre of hardworking volunteers has raised significant private funds from our citizens and businesses. Coming through the pandemic, we now anticipate the pinch that everyone here recognizes: the potential financial impact of supply line disruptions, increased material prices, and inflation. So we are at a critical moment in the process. Awarding of ARPA funds is an optimal opportunity for the city to make a huge positive impact for the entire community. A very big bang for the ARPA buck. And I remind you, as one of the previous speakers mentioned, there is no facility of this kind in Urbana. And we all know that the need is great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Also, as we continue and the next speaker can come, if you are wishing to speak this evening and coming to the microphone poses a challenge, if you would just raise your hand, I have no problem bringing the microphone to you. I can bring it to you. So if standing at the microphone poses any sort of a challenge, if you just raise your hand, we'll bring the microphone to you. That way you're not having to stand at the mic.
And she will be speaking on sustainable infrastructure.
Good evening. I thank you for the opportunity this evening to be in here. My subject will be in infrastructure. My name is Ethel Reed, and I am a resident and own a bit of property in Dr. Ellis subdivision, and I've been here year after year with some problems with, it would go under, like I say, health issues, because we've been having problems with sewage backing up from one house to another house to another house. And we've had to have mold treatment, drywall torn out, resident moving out for a while, which had to place some place to stay. And I've been going through all of this, and it's still, we're having the same problem, but the reason was we did not have the funding for that. Now that we have gotten this $13 million, I think that would be kind of somewhat of an answer to this problem for the sewage, and that is, I think, is a public health, I can even say health issue. And I would appreciate it if you considering that, and I thank you for my time.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Karen Medina, and I want to say that this is a great responsibility, and you have tough decisions to make, tough decisions that will impact generations of Urbana residents. The best use of the ARPA money is to do three things: invest in the community itself, build relationships, build future resilience. An example of a wrong decision: toys for the police force. They always want more electronics and more control. What they really need is more connections to the community. And if ever there was a business to get into where you would be guaranteed access to unlimited funds, it would be extremely easy to con all the city governments across the United States to invest in electrical toys for the police. An example of a correct decision: create a skateboard park out of crumbling buildings. Welcome in the young people. Give them a strong sense of belonging. Include multiple generations. Have it out of doors. It is proven that skateboard parks build and sustain healthy communities. As a gathering place for dedicated youth, the skate park provides the forum for young and old, beginning and skilled, to meet and share experiences and advice about skateboarding and life in general. For many skateboarding youth, the skate park becomes a home away from home, where the younger ones learn life lessons from the older ones, reaching from basic injury tips to becoming more aware and responsible for their own health and life, and additionally gain confidence to test their limits through the brave act to continuously push their individual physical and mental borders through the skateboarding together in a safe environment. Reclaiming public spaces. It's really hard to do this. Reclaiming public spaces helps people feel like they are part of a caring and secure community. The busier the place, the more appealing for the youth and the more included and valued people feel. An important psychosocial benefit of creating a skate park is that it allows, thank you so much, it allows community members to feel safe again. You could also build a mental health care facility with respite care. You could provide internet access to the poorest people. I want to quote a friend who quoted someone else. Like, who knows where quotes come from these days now. There is a difference between assimilation, limited inclusion, and belonging. Limited inclusion, I'm sorry. Assimilation says, be like us and leave part of yourself behind. Limited inclusion says, be a part of us and bring some uniqueness, but not too much. Belonging says, you belong here. This place is better because you are here and you are free to take up space. Whatever projects you undertake, do not treat us like criminals. Do not give the money to con artists selling black boxes that treat us like data and criminals. Please remember what it feels like to belong someplace. Build that for us. Thank you.
Just gonna let the graphic artist get finished before I get started. Carol, how are you? It's a great idea. Chris could have did that too. No, he is. Very good. So good evening, everyone. My name is Aaron Ammons, also a former Urbana City Council member, currently the Champaign County Clerk. And I came out tonight to address a couple of things. So I agree that the Park District piece is a wonderful addition. If there's ARPA funds that could be supportive of the Park District's initiative. And I have selfish reasons, because then I get to use the gym at Brookins for voting, where I need as much space as I can possibly get. So I certainly support that. And I want to tie that to another piece that I think falls under public health and safety. As I sit here and see the same faces that I have seen for years with Ms. Carr and Ms. Reed and the Underwoods, who have been coming for years to talk about sustainable infrastructure, but I also see the same face. And one of the things that I am passionate about and I'm trying to spread to others is to get more young people to be engaged politically and with the electoral process, so that we can have more young people here also engaged and understanding how important it is to cast their votes and to make sure we elect people who are going to represent their values and their views. the reason why they get left out and they don't feel like they belong is because they don't participate in the electoral process, so their views and opinions are not heard. So one of the things that I have been pushing for is trying to get more engagement from everyone in the community and from an electoral standpoint. And one of the ways that we can do that is that all of you can support me in pushing an initiative for vote by mail, so that individuals will be able to participate in our local elections, in particular like the one that would be responsible for electing your mayor and your city council members. When we have a presidential election, we have a 60, 70, 80% turnout in Champaign County. But then when we have a local election, we have a 10% turnout. And in some of our communities in our high hope areas, we have a 5% turnout. But if we're able to get the vote by mail ballot into the hands of all of the individuals who are registered to vote, then we see an increase in all participation. And I think that would lead to more involvement, more engagement from young people and getting them to understand the importance of the electoral process. Voting is about resources. It's about electing individuals who will put resources in your community. And if you continue to stay at home, then those resources go to communities where you don't get served. It's a pretty simple equation. The affordable housing piece, something that I spoke about years ago as a council member. We see a lot of development taking place, which I support. But I also advocated and still advocate that affordable housing should be mixed in with market rate housing, as opposed to just market rate pieces that we have like across the street. We can have affordable housing as a base component of any sort of new development and have market rate for the profit margin that the contractors or anyone else who needs to have. So affordable housing as a part of that would be important. And I would have to say, I wouldn't be who I am if I did not say, please don't give no more tools to the police. They have enough to do their jobs at this particular time. I understand we need more officers at times if people are leaving. I understand that we can't have a community necessarily without police, but more gadgets is not what we need with ARPA funds. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kelsey Beckew. I am the Development Manager for the Urbana Park District. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm here today to urge the City of Urbana to support the Urbana Park District's Health and Wellness Facility in Prairie Park. Planning for this facility has been underway for many years and really came into focus when we embarked on our strategic plan in 2018. The public was included in the planning process through surveys, focus groups, interviews, and whiteboard exercises at district events. Many of the same types of input you all have sought here today in seeking how to allocate these ARPA funds. We all want the same thing, and that's to provide the best services we can to the citizens of Urbana. It's in that spirit that we bring the Health and Wellness Project forward and ask for the council's help in making sure that this much-needed facility is built in Urbana. It meets 4 of the main priorities established by council for use of these funds: sustainable infrastructure, economic recovery and development, human rights and social services, and public health and safety. This facility will be a long-term community asset, well suited for a one-time use of funds, and will incorporate sustainability features such as a solar array, enhanced insulation, and water-efficient plumbing. The Health and Wellness Facility will promote public health and safety by creating a safe community space for people to pursue their personal wellness journeys, but also to come together to address some of the most pressing needs in our community today. It will also better position Urbana to weather the storms ahead. The construction of this facility will aid in economic development and recovery through the jobs created, and once built will provide youth in the community with an opportunity to enter the workforce for the first time and gain those valuable job skills. It addresses human rights and social services through expanding opportunity and investing in an area of Urbana that's been underserved, and that would benefit from having this kind of community resource nearby. Throughout this process, we have secured several sources of funding. The Urbana Park District has committed $4.1 million of our own funds. We have received a $2.5 million park grant from the state of Illinois, and private donors in Urbana and the surrounding communities have stepped up to the plate with $1.83 million in donations to the campaign for the Health and Wellness Facility in support of this project. We have also been awarded another $3 million grant led by State Representative Carol Ammons that's still waiting on a final agreement. There are many that have recognized that the health and wellness facility project fulfills a critical unmet need in Urbana and have answered the call. And despite the unprecedented level of support we have seen from our community partners, we have more work to do. Construction costs have increased dramatically over the last year. Our project team is currently working to identify what aspects of the facility we can fund given the current construction climate and our funding levels. ARPA funding is absolutely critical to ensuring we can secure a health and wellness facility to serve the needs of Urbana. Immediate support from the City of Urbana's ARPA funds in combination with our other funding sources is the path forward for Urbana Park District to be able to provide an indoor health and wellness facility. We must be sure of all of our secured funding sources by May in order to begin construction early enough to meet the October 2023 deadline required by the park grant. Communities are at their best when they work together, and we ask that the City of Urbana join the Park District, the State of Illinois, and our community members in ensuring that this much-needed facility is built in Urbana. Thank you.
My name is Ashley Withers. Sorry, that's very loud. I am here as an Urbana resident, as a member of the Urbana Park District Advisory Committee, as well as a disability service provider through Community Choices. So Community Choices is a nonprofit here in Champaign County that partners with adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities to meet their goals of independent living, skill development, social opportunities, and employment as well, which is what my job focuses on. I think a lot of us are already familiar with the Stevens Family YMCA in Larkin's Place. That particular facility in Southwest Champaign was really built with disability inclusivity in mind. Larkin herself is a young woman with a disability, and that's what that facility is named after. It's been very successful. It's been heavily used by DSC and CUSR for special recreation. However, transportation and financial resources do tend to still be a very large barrier for the disability community. That's why I'm very excited to support the Urbana Park District's efforts for the health and wellness facility. Their commitment to equity and accessibility in our community is evident through their affordable programming, scholarship programs, as well as a number of free programs that the community can participate in as a whole. The health and wellness facility will provide employment opportunities, even a location to possibly host future job fairs for the community, which, as somebody in employment, is something I'm very excited about. The Park District has worked very hard over the last several years to identify areas of need in the community, as was mentioned by speakers earlier. They adapt their programming to better serve those populations, including those individuals with disabilities. For anybody who's seen Park District materials, they really embody the message that you belong here. And they mean that with, all aspects of the community, including those with disabilities as well. The Health and Wellness Center will greatly benefit the residents of Urbana. I definitely support all of the other aspects that other speakers have spoken on as well. And it will provide Urbana with a much needed space for recreation, health, and just community as a whole. So thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Bill Gray. I reside at 407 West Evergreen Court in Urbana and have been a resident since 1992. Before my retirement in 2018, I was the City of Urbana's Public Works Director and City Engineer for 26 years. Tonight, I wear the hat of a trustee for the Urbana Park Foundation. Specifically, I want to gain your support for helping the Urbana Park District fund a vitally needed project for our community, the Health and Wellness Center. I'm not going to recite all the programs such a facility will provide or get into the financial details of the $2.5 million ask. Hopefully you have already heard that, as recently mentioned. No, tonight I want to share with you the importance of intergovernmental cooperation, or more simply, the importance of partnerships, working together to improve our community. I have seen wonderful results between the city and Park District partnership. Examples include the city and Park District and other agencies partnered in the Scottswood Area Stormwater Improvement Project, This solved localized flooding of homes and properties in East Urbana. The project included a large wetland retention basin in Weaver Park. The Park District provided the land, and today it attracts a variety of flora and fauna. The City and Park District and other agencies partnered in the Kickapoo Rail Trail and Trail Master Plan. Here, community-wide planning through a partnership provide an amenity people highly desire, and there are plans for future trail expansions in Urbana. The City and Park District partnered in the construction of a multi-use path along North Broadway Avenue in Crystal Lake Park. The City and Park District partnered in the removal of special waste from a forebay, a sediment basin, in Crystal Lake Park, and successfully remediated the sediment as a landfill cap east of the Landscape Recycling Center. The City and Park District partnered in the Ash Street improvement, located north of University Avenue, across from the CUMTD bus facility. Ash Street was improved from a chip and seal street to a concrete pavement. The street provides access to a large Park District facility. Partnerships are essential for success. This new health and wellness facility will benefit the entire community. It satisfies all 4 City America Recovery Plan Act criteria. Every human being seeks a decent quality of life. That definition varies from individual to individual. This $2.5 million Park District ask is a facility where everyone wins. Whether you use it or not, and we certainly hope after it's built you will use it, this facility betters your quality of life as a citizen of Urbana and will continue to reinforce that the city of Urbana is a wonderful place to live, learn, work, and recreate. I'm asking the city now to partner with the Park District in this health and wellness project. Thank you for allowing me to share these thoughts.
Just to come after Bill is hard. My name is Amani Ayad, A-M-A-N-I-A-Y-A-D, for whoever is taking notes. I am here in support of the Urbana Park District. I am a trustee of the Urbana Park District. I live in Champaign. I have lived in Urbana for more than 20 years and have moved to Champaign about 8 years ago. I still believe in Urbana and the Urbana Park District. I served on the UPDAC, the Urbana Park District Advisory Council, during crucial time when a lot of Urbana projects were happening. I remember Meadowbrook Park being started. I remember the new Crystal Lake Pool, the Phillips Recreational Center, many, many projects that the Urbana Park District has successfully installed and operated and sustained over the years. I cannot think of a project that is more worthy because it hits almost all the points for ARPA, the sustainability and the economic recovery, the social services, and public health and safety. Someone like me still comes from Champaign to Urbana to the Aquatic Center to swim 3 times a week. I do my business when I come to swim. I eat in Urbana, I drink in Urbana, and I bring my business to Urbana. So I think many other people will do the same thing. This would be not just beneficial for the Urbana community, but the Champaign community at large. It will bring jobs and new careers, business, as I said, and a project that builds bodies and minds is really a great project for all ages. That's really what we need in this community. And it will be attractive to many like me, younger than me, older than me, and will bring, as I said, a lot of better quality of living for all of us. This has been studied extensively. The Urbana Park District did focus groups. They have reviewed other facilities. And so I'm coming here to strongly say that the history, the 113 years of the Urbana Park District serving this community really would come very handy and provide the sustainability and continuity that is needed for such a project during those times. Thank you very much for listening.
All right. Alan Max Axelrod. Before I get into affiliations, I'll first speak as an individual. There are going to be a lot of things that you can't fund that are going to be asked for, or maybe you can't fund it to the levels that you will be asked. There was an idea from the Champaign County Board that I thought might be helpful, whether it's independent for the city or intergovernmentally. The Champaign County Board talked about having a grant writer funded for 2-ish years. So for initiatives that they would like to see more funding for, but they couldn't squeeze it into the American Rescue Plan, they would have the basis to get more funds for those initiatives. This is particularly important when you look at which initiatives routinely get grant funding and which ones grant funding would be unprecedented, and maybe those should be prioritized for the American Rescue Plan funds. I also want to say personally, a lot of talk about equity and inclusion without expanding the availability of I-stops, that is free MTD bus stops. There's one right next to my home that mostly service the university. Until we provide that for community routes in high hope areas, we are wishfully thinking, in my opinion. So I would like for that to be considered, even if it's experimental for a temporary time, where the city can consider more funding for that. And if it's grant funded, maybe consider a grant for expanding that. The university gets that, and the university has more frequent bus routes than the community routes, and I think we should see that changed. Now, in my capacity as a co-chair of the Champaign-Urbana DSA, I'm here to speak in solidarity with the initiative for the Dr. Ellis subdivision. It is, for the history of that community, a supreme indignity to use the fact that there are multiple communities with the infrastructural defect. It just ignores the context of that community. And we know from past study sessions that the cost per household for taxes, if we were to do any sort of permanent thing, is not that burdensome. So what I will say is, if you don't fund it, the repairs or any infrastructural changes, then I hope to see that there are taxes implemented to permanently address the issue. With regards to another program involving equity, the Support for Workforce Training Program is literally part of a statewide initiative called the Workforce Equity Initiative. 75% of the students enrolled in that program are African American or Black identifying. It is reaching the people in a per capita basis that it is marketed to help. However, we can do better. We can expand the enrollment of that program using American Rescue Plan funds. We can increase the stipends for all those enrolled to increase retention and the appeal of that program. And we don't need Parkland trustees' approval to do it if we allow for people to submit their enrollment for reimbursement or for upfront payment, depending on how the city wants to do it. If we're looking at a one-time payment that brings long-term equity into a community, access to that education, integrating that into high school programs with troubled seniors, is a key way to do that. My life is foundationed on the fact that I have financial stability. I'd hazard a guess and say that a lot of us here have that too. Lastly, individual again. There are a few things that were mentioned. Vote by mail, that's worth supporting. No tools for police. I would say, I would say focus more on the kinds of social services that are collaborating to address mental health issues, more so than using gadgetry to address the issue, because you cannot innovate your way around poverty, but you can do harm reduction, and if the focus when talking about policing does not address that, you're missing the point. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Heather Rose, and I'm pretty much representing the youth, okay? So my past positions, they've been very long, so I've been a teacher, travel teacher. I've taught Too Good for Drugs, Too Good for Violence for a long time. Back when there was a Prairie Center, I've also was a youth career specialist over there at the Housing Authority of Champaign County Youth Build Program. I've been volunteering for Marlon Mitchell for a very long time with the First Followers as well as the Go Mad program. So I'm here representing the youth more than anything. We've seen over the last years lack in programs, services. We've seen that what gun violence, abuse, and unhealed wounds, in which everyone calls it trauma, we see what it looks like, all right? Our students are less engaged and unmotivated and lack inspiration. In the classroom, they are like zombies, all right? They lack the inspiration. We need to be inspiring. We need to impress these students. They are our future leaders, all right? We lack multiple resources in which we are basically begging it right now. We need to hold space for these youth, okay? We are at an all-time high of so much trauma and unhealed wounds, it's ridiculous. It's extremely overwhelming to our students and the youth of color. I'm here to just basically state the importance of impactful services such as the H3 harm, healing, and hope model that they have, a 5-pillar support in which they offer education, civic engagement, community outreach, economic development, counseling, therapy, and behavioral health. We lack resources. I'm gonna keep saying it. We lack resources and programs, which could encourage, equip, educate, and empower our youth. Bringing more mental health awareness should be at the forefront. We should be doing more holistic approaches, in which includes spirituality, environmental awareness, anything that involves them trying to get to know who they are, loving themselves a lot more, in which we can actually heal some of these traumas inside the home, inside the community, okay? So before I leave, I need to make my point. We all experience life differently. We're all on a journey. We endure life, death, grief, happiness, turmoil, and deceit, but we all cope with it differently. However, it would be nice to have these resources that we keep asking for. We would love to have these resources and programs available to everyone in order so that they can cope with life. For the most part, I would love to leave an impact on the future leaders by inspiring them with impression and meaningful motivation to further their personal development and their growth. Therefore, acknowledging our awareness and acceptance of self as we are in that moment, while leading with confidence and community-driven support and goals, which together, with teamwork, we will go make a difference.
Good evening. I am Giovanna Di Benedetto, and I am the executive director for Silver Hearts Community, and also I live in and I'm on the current board for LNAC for the Learman neighborhood where the Wellness Center is going to be being built. As I was getting ready for tonight, I was talking with my kids, as I often do, to find out their input. What do you think, like what's needed? What are kids asking for that they don't know about? And for a change, I got very confused looks, and I share this because they both always have a comment about this stuff, because they get dragged everywhere with me. But as I was talking it out with my 9-year-old, I was talking about the Wellness Center. And I said, do you know what it is? Like, do you know what a wellness center is? And she goes, it's a place to go get well, like to get healthy. And I'm like, okay, it makes sense, right? And I asked what her friends thought about this, because it's right next door to the school. They play in that area. None of them knew anything about it. She told me that they don't talk about stuff like that. My question is, as a community member, I was like, why don't they? Like, I talked about that stuff with my friends, like, we're gonna go play ball and stuff. And I say it's because this wellness center really is something that has been said over and over tonight, but it is desperately needed. The activities, the things we're gonna be able to do. I remember in Silverwood when we first got started, and the one thing that every one of us that was working in the area, but also that the residents of Silverwood, now mind you, this is when there was like shooting after shooting and people were scared to death. They said they wanted a place to go. They wanted a place to have the kids have something to do, that they could do something, you know, basically a community center right there. And this wellness center will be close enough that even those that are travel challenged, like me, they'll be able to get to easily. It's a place that, with the work that we do at Steer Place, we can take the residents of Steer Place and now the residents of Pinewood, and we can take them there. It's close enough to provide those services for them. And so I really, you know, I encourage any funding that is needed to get that fully done so that we can have that asset to benefit both communities. The other thing that I want to talk about is something that we've been focusing on for the last couple of years with COVID, and it became a real big problem we noticed, is the area of food deserts. You know, when we suddenly couldn't buy food, there was issues. But what I really found out is that a lot of the food banks, you have to take several buses to, and you can't get it all home, and there's just all kinds of challenges. What we would like to see done, both agencies, is that we'd like to see in all of the marginalized communities, not just ours. We would like to see, how do I write it down, sorry, stable and sustainable food programs, be it food banks in those that have community gardens. We could do things like freeze the food, I don't know, but we'd be able to find ways, I'm not a gardener, to be able to have that fresh produce available throughout the year, along with food pantries that people could walk at, you know, a few blocks to and get the food that they need and get it home. Because that has been, it was something that I didn't realize existed. And these are my neighbors. And I know that's a program, I know those are things, and we want not just those, but resource centers. I almost thought of like mini townships, only without the case managers. You know, a place for, you know, we could have the resources. You know, people could come in and I need rental assistance. Okay, we can connect you here and we'll help you. You know, hey, I need, you know, water assistance, or I need domestic violence help, be it on a victim's end or a perpetrator's end, and we have the resources to connect them, possibly put them with people to help them through those processes. So kind of a one-all stop shop staffed by volunteers. Sorry, my mouth is getting dry. So those are the things that we've seen that we would like to see done, and thank you so much.
Hi. So I'll be real brief. Hi, folks. I'm Eddie Pratt Jr., Champaign resident. I am also the membership coordinator for the local CU, Democratic Socialists of America. I'm here to speak in solidarity with Dr. Ellis subdivision advocates who have been, for the better part of over 20 years, asking for our municipal government to right the wrong that was done to them. When we talk about equity being sustainable and actionable, it comes down to, in some cases, just doing the right thing. As far as that particular subdivision is concerned, when it came down to the construction of it, all those years ago, well beyond whenever I was born, it was not done adequately. And that is an injustice to all of the residents there then and now. This is something that is not unknown knowledge, of course, to the Urbana government. So that being said, it's now that we have the ARPA funding here, that we have a golden opportunity to right a wrong. And when we do so, we are bringing equity to a situation that was inequitable or otherwise unfair. Otherwise, I'd also like to say, as the campaign lead for the community initiative known as Match to Mill, that wants to highlight our SWIFT program, as Alan alluded to earlier. I just want to highlight the importance of why, just even if we just take SWIFT as we know it out of Parkland out of the equation, the importance of giving a real vehicle out of poverty is a real thing that we have to consider for our Black and brown residents here in Champaign County. It was not very long ago that Champaign was highlighted as the 20th worst place to live as a Black American. That is terrible to consider. And we are right here right next door. And a lot of the numbers that Champaign was highlighted for are also extremely close in margin here. So supporting something in the notion of something like SWIFT is important. It's not enough to just give people hope without a way to transform that through their own actions. We don't need handouts. We need a hand up. A lot of people just need just a little bit more room. The things that you don't think about are the things that usually are holding people back, be it not having money for childcare, be it having to survive and maintain a living, and all of the time and energy that takes away. It is hard to attain new skills that would be more marketable for yourself in such means. So breaking those barriers is extremely important. SWIFT is just another way of doing so. If we're being honest, SWIFT has underperformed up until now. During 2020, their enrollment numbers were 52. 52. Be it as it may that it is a part of a state program, its other partners have an average of 307 enrollees. This is despite the fact that SWIFT also has more training programs under its belt, under its program, than other counterparts across the state. So it's important that we, at the very least, make sure that SWIFT, among other things in our community, as they're being implemented and as they are still here, that they are held accountable and they are actionable and working for the people at large. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Fiona Monroe. I'm also a member of CUDSA. This is on sustainable infrastructure. I'd also like to speak in solidarity with the members of the Dr. Ellis subdivision. This is a very basic need that they are requesting support for. Clean water, access to sewage that doesn't back up in their houses. I think if we're looking for something that is a sort of universal need for this ARPA funding, that basic need seems appropriate. I'd also like to speak in support of, as Eddie was saying, the Support for Workforce Training Program or similar programs. Employment offers a way of achieving a lot of these services that we're discussing right now, mental health services, housing, et cetera, which is not to say that the city should not help to provide those, but having the ability to do that on your own is good for dignity and powerful for just your ability to be a person in the world. So that's the point I would like to make. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Eldris Melinda Carr, and I came here in support of the Dr. Ellis Subdivision Committee. There are a lot of issues that are near and dear to my heart because I've been working in the community in more than one capacity in the ministry, in the Ministerial Alliance. So with youth are a very important part of our community as well. But in speaking with the, as part of the Dr. Ellis Subdivision Committee and the information that was given to the council earlier, which Mr. Robert Lewis spoke of, I'm one of the signatures on that document. And I came to the Dr. Ellis Subdivision in 2016, so I'm not one of the original residents, so I came by way of God of heaven who sent me there on a mission. And I'm in one of the homes that has caused, is one of the examples of one of the things that of the sewer issues that have been very extensive over the years. And so I'm in one of the homes that was strategically placed. I was placed there strategically. And I just want to say, Dr. Ellis is more than just the sustainable infrastructure of Dr. Ellis Subdivision. It's the people who live there. When I moved to Dr. Ellis, even now, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. There are things that have happened at Dr. Ellis, just as any other place, but when I first moved there, I was welcomed by, I live across from the Reeds, and for example, and when I was moving in, they were in the house welcoming me to the neighborhood. So we need that kind of thing back in our community. I pray that the council will, I've been coming and it's hard for me to come up again. I said, Lord, help me to get up here. For several months, the Underwoods, others who have passed away and haven't gotten to see this, we hope, miracle that will occur. And the inequitable situation, which I know you who are sitting in the seats now are not responsible for it, but we pray that you would right a wrong, rectify the situation. There's reparations that we're seeing this happening all over our country, and we pray that you would look at this and correct the wrong when you have the authority to do it for the people who have been wrong for so many years. And I know there are other needs that are being expressed, but we need to correct the wrong of the past because it's going to help a lot of families who have been working hard for the community. They've done more than just for their area. If you look at if you look at some of I think one of the things I mentioned with the comprehensive plan is that I know the wellness center is going to be, I know that they're talking about the wellness center in Urbana, but I talked about we need neighborhood centers. We need places for different areas. Douglas Center was a place where Urbana and Champaign youth went. I was one of them, and it's no longer the way it used to be. And I pray that this wellness center does not turn into something that will not be as accessible to the youth, that we would have accessible buildings or places where people who want to do things that are open, because kids who may not have a place to go, I'm saying more than just a few hours and where they need supervision, that's kind of what we're needing as well in our community. But I just pray that we don't forget to right the wrong of the past for Dr. Ellis, and we'll be back. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carly McCrory McKay, and I'm here in my role as Executive Director of the Champaign County Economic Development Corporation. And I'm probably going to speak to the component of economic recovery and development focus. So we work with David quite a bit to do these graphics, so it's fun to see David here tonight. We work with many community partners on a variety of countywide economic development initiatives that are really focused around job creation, job retention, small business development, tax base enhancement, and also promotion of quality of life. Tonight, I'm specifically here to talk about an opportunity that's focused on micro-lending for small businesses in our area. So small business development, as I mentioned, is a priority area for our organization, and we have key goals in our strategic plan to really advance financing opportunities for small businesses in our area. One is that we want to work with partner agencies to develop more opportunities for access to capital for small business owners. And then second, we want to work with local and regional financial institutions and government agencies to increase access to capital for startup capital, working capital, and just really work to overcome barriers for minority businesses to gain access to capital for not only startup, but also growth and expansion. We're also the proud host of an Illinois Small Business Development Center, which helps support free and confidential assistance to thousands of entrepreneurs each year. Because of our work, we often pick up on some common questions or themes from the small business community here in our area. And two of the most common themes that we see and questions that we're asked about are how to start a business in Illinois, specifically in Champaign County, and also what financial resources exist for those businesses, whether that's grants, loans, incentive programs, etc. So through our efforts in this area, we work closely with federal agencies, state agencies, local municipalities, and also financial institutions to support these needs and these questions. And in that work, we've developed a lot of relationships, including one with Justine Peterson, who is a U.S. Treasury Certified Community Development Financial Institution, otherwise known as the CDFI for short. They are the #1 microlender from the SBA in Illinois, and they specialize their work in markets that are not adequately served by traditional lending opportunities in the communities that they serve. They focus on three specific areas: micro enterprise and small business lending, consumer lending and credit building, and housing and home ownership support. But for our particularly, our area of focus in the small business sector, we're focused on formalizing a partnership for micro enterprise and small business lending to be made available to area small businesses in our community. So to give you an idea of their traditional loan size, these loans vary between $300 and $250,000, with the median loan size of about $12,000. And more importantly, they also do wraparound services to all the clients that they provide loans to. And this can really be focused on not only helping them get the capital that they need, but to provide counseling and support to not only reach their financial goals of small business capitalization, but ultimately financial stability. And they do have a track record here in Champaign County with referrals made by our organization, local lenders, and also organizations like the Champaign County Black Chamber of Commerce. They have deployed roughly $425,000 to 57 small businesses within the last 5 years. So we believe there's a great opportunity to formalize this partnership here in Champaign County to make an even bigger impact. The 10,000-foot level description of this opportunity, without getting too much into the weeds for the purpose of this evening, is that for every $125,000 committed by an entity, it leverages $1 million in funding. So $125,000 committed leverages $1 million in funding. And that would be focused on supporting small businesses in our community through different loan products, all that would be developed in close partnership with Justine Peterson to meet the specific needs of small businesses in our area. So our organization is committed to seeing this opportunity come to life, including dedicating resources to make it happen, and we're leading conversations with multiple community partners to really explore these opportunities. That's ongoing right now. Each partner committing financial resources to this effort may be pulling from different funds, so they all may have their own timeline and thus spending deadlines. Because we know there's a need based on our work with the small businesses and what we hear, and because of our own timeline to spend funds, we are really working hard to launch this program with Justine Peterson in the next 90 days. So as I said, we're bringing together community partners across Champaign County to have conversations about this. We really want to work together to make this a reality in our community, and I ask for your consideration of this proposal to explore the commitment of funds to leverage regional investment for small businesses in Urbana, also known as a multiplier effect. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak. I wanted to hear what everybody else said first because I'm not coming up here with a prepared speech, and I think my name's Julie Watkins. I'm a local Urbana resident for a long time, and I want to support things that many people have said, such as the Dr. Ellis subdivision, because it really sounds, from when I hear the stories, that a long time ago they wanted to segregate people in this specific spot, and they didn't care to build it correctly. And it is right and wrong. And the whole community, since the whole community has benefited from everybody's work, should be responsible and feel solidarity with the people who need this. So, because if they've been working under a very hard situation, then they can't go as far as other people can go because it's harder for them just to live. So that is something we really should do, and this is a good use for one-term money. And the other thing that people have said is that you can't innovate out of poverty. So the job situation, you want to make as many people be able to get into the SWIFT program. It's targeting the people that need it, but just like the transportation issue that people have been talking about, if you don't have the means to get there, the means to feed yourself and take care of yourself so you can get the studying done, You really need support, and it is a great investment. And when people feel they have a future, they won't get angry and do things they shouldn't do. And one thing about that is I've never heard of skate parks before, but everything everybody said about it, it sounds like it's really good for young people. If they're very frustrated, they can go, they can be creative. It sounds very unstructured, which I think they like. And especially if young people are, oh, that's my phone. Oh, no, I thought they turned that off. No, is that my phone? Please turn it off. Okay, what else have people been talking about? I think the idea of, now food is really, if you have to go too far to get food, you'll just wind up eating the crackers you've got somewhere. And it's better to have real vegetables. So, community, food banks, other things that's walkable. Walkable is really good. I'm glad I'm in a walkable situation. And what else have people? I think that one of the things that people that feel most safe have the most stable services. And it's nice to think that everybody has a chance to get a theoretical chance is not the same as an actual chance. And sometimes if you say a rising tide lifts all boats, well, some communities are always at the back of the line and the money runs out. So I want to put those people up in the front because it's reparations, as somebody said. And so I want the jobs, and I want Dr. Ellis, because that sounds like that's been going on much too long. And thank you for listening.
Just to touch base with time at this time, it is 6:52. We are allotted to go until 7:30. And of course, with public guidelines, if you've already spoken, you may not speak again. But if you have not shared and would like to share, if coming to the microphone is a difficulty, I can bring the microphone to you. But certainly, if you have not shared, it is why we are here tonight. It's why we have gathered. It's why we have people from all facets of the city, from the executive department to planning, all the way down to our partnership with the Regional Planning Commission, so that we hear directly from you where you would like to see this money go, given the areas that have been outlined. It's an opportunity that has not been given frequently and historically in this country, let alone in the city, to get a large sum of money and ask the citizens and the constituents, how do you want us to spend? Where do you want it to go? And who do you want to help? I only say that to impress upon, if you have not used a voice, you don't have to have a prepared speech, you don't need to be a polished scholar. You simply need to be someone that has an interest in how Urbana is going to improve Urbana moving forward, making use of the ARPA funding. So as you're looking over the graphic arts and the information that's been shared, we ask you, if you have not made a statement, if you have not shared, we want to hear from you. This is why we're here, and we want to make sure that we are actively representing your ideas, perspectives, and points of view. Thank you.
Anybody else? I'm not eager, okay.
Come on, we'll make you We'll make you
This is weird. No, good to be, I was trying to be last, that's good to know. Can I get like a 30-second grace period, to like get my feet in the ground, which will tie, it does tie into. Volley off to that way.
You're doing great.
Turn around, I'm trying this hard. Well, okay. I've come in here, I wasn't sure I understood the assignment. Thank you for the little pep talk, I kind of took that personally. My name's Ashley Moore, exactly, grace period. There we go. Start the clock. My name is Ashley Moore. I was asked to come here on behalf or whatever, UPDAC. I'm on the UPDAC council. This is the part, let me start just talking. Did I fulfill the requirements that bear? Okay. I'm overwhelmed. Not on what, I believe it, thank you. I believe I am. Just trying to, concision is not. As a person with disabilities myself, invisible ones, but you see them in times like this. I was not, that aspect of me was not part of any parks department or LNAC. I'm a friend of LNAC, if you will. I work a lot with them. We'll talk about that later, but this stuff is important. So I might stray from whatever. We need the health and wellness facility. We need that. We need that for all the reasons. The hardest part of any of this is concise. I'm going to bring up, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Can we do that real quick? This was not part of my plan. I didn't have a plan. But I was trying to incorporate, I wanted to talk about the food bank and the necessity of the food bank. I work closely with the garden. The garden, Learman Garden, is directly, more or less directly across from the words proximity. There's proximity with the health and wellness, which would encompass all five, hitting all five of these points. Coming in thinking you can talk about one, two, or the other. I don't. And now I believe that's. Oh, it's only 15 minutes. Okay. This hits on all of the stuff. One of the things I did not expect to hear about, discuss about, I'm glad it came up, is the community, is it Dr. Ellis community? I heard the name. I know a little bit about it. They need money. That needs money for all the which ways. The permanent tax, somebody said here. Oh, notes. This is why I take notes. There's the. I'm here in solidarity. I'm here as a person. I reckon I'm here as a person that would benefit from this stuff. And others. Oh, speaking for the youth. Somebody in here. Speaking for the youth. We need youth. Yeah, the youth are the future. I want to, all of that idea. I fully in for that. Save all the words, but put the money with the kids. The kids, I really can't do this because I'm gonna be. There's a point though. There's not there's an actual point. Believe it or not, and it's the hierarchy of needs. If you're unfamiliar, and for what it's worth, it's an old psychological theory, but it's about human motivation, basic needs. It's a pyramid, and at the bottom you've got these. You start with housing first of all. And that's what brings in. So I was thinking, okay, affordable housing. No, specifically the Ellis community, because they need a lot more than just the affordability, I assume. It goes from there. I gotta leave town after this. That's okay. It's physiological. That's food, water, shelter, and warmth. Security. The next step is security, employment, assets, that kind of thing. Purpose. This is speaking to mental health behavior. Everything on here is what I'm talking about, okay? You can put it together. Then next is your social need. That's connection, family, friendship, belonging. Above that is esteem, and that's your self-worth, your accomplishments, your confidence, all of that. And by the way, we're one from the top, and without the bottom, you cannot get to the next. Forget the top, even. You can't. And then the top is the almighty self-actualization, right? Which is, that's in your own definition, but that's just inner fulfillment, and you're pleased. You're pleased as punch. The struggle is manageable at that point. this is good. Thank you for doing this and having and offering these funds. Good night. That's the end.
Don't do that to her.
No, I mean, I'm not, no, as long, I mean, I'll always have something to say. But I would maybe a moment to bring it in. No, I mean, it's fine. I don't think, you did great. Oh, this is, thank you. This encouragement children need, because
Yes.
this is, oh, here you go. This is what happens when, you know, some things come easy in life, right? But some resources I was not provided with, as in my youth and whatnot. So I come as an individual here, hoping to see the needs met with a big focus on the children's health overall, but kids and their basic needs, starting from there. We didn't even get into trauma. Oh man, you gotta cut me off. I'm wasting. You gotta cut me off. It's a good thing. This guy's amazing. What sentence? I've brought my rounded it off. I thought of my one sentence that rounds it all up, and it's just a one sentence. Struggles with the Maslow hierarchy. So I explored half of that was telling you what it's about, but what gets in the way of that is society. So it's up to society, thus this programming and options to get us raises. Society can hinder and help. Thank you. God almighty.
It is now 7:30. Certainly, we thank everyone for your participation in tonight's public input session. We hope that you will stay in tune as the City of Urbana moves forward with the funding process. It is now 7:30, and this closes out our public input session. Thank you.